Here we are on day 30, and to have a little bit of fun today, we are going, well, like you didn't have fun the whole time, but we're going to be building a game so you can have fun and play it and just have a great time. So, what we are building is Whack-A-Mole, and what happens is when you run the game, you're going to get these little critters popping up in random holes for random amounts of time. So, and then when you click them, you get a point. You sort of have to follow it along with your mouse. So there's a couple of things we need to know here. The game itself is going to be 10 seconds long, but which hole the mole pops up in and for how long that mole peeps his head up from the ground is totally random. It's all going to be between like 200 milliseconds and a couple seconds. And then the mole hill that it's going to pop up from is also going to be totally random as well. So I've gone here and I've gone ahead and selected all of the holes. I've gone ahead and selected the scoreboard, which is the 7 right here. And I've gone ahead and selected all the moles. So look at our HTML here. You got your holes, you got your moles and your holes, and we're ready to roll with our moles and our holes. So we first need a function that's going to give us a random amount of time between however minimum and maximum. So we're going to say function rand time, and that's going to take a minimum and a maximum. And that will return a math.random times max minus min plus min. And we've done this whole offset thing a couple times. Now I'm not going to explain it again. That should give us a function that if we open it up in our browser here and we run rand time, and if we go between 20 milliseconds and 2 seconds, it's just going to give us a random amount of milliseconds. We could probably also pop a math.round around that just so we can get a nice clean number of milliseconds back. There we go. Now we're getting a random amount of time that it's going to be popping itself up. So that's one function. That's sort of a bit of a utility. Then we need another function that's going to pick a random hole for the mole to pop up from. So function random hole, and that is going to take in a list of holes, which is going to be, in our case, it's going to be this holes that we have here. However, this could be any list of DOM elements. Essentially, this is just a get me a random DOM element function there. And what we're going to do here is let's just console log holes. Now, if I were to run rand hole and pass it our holes variable, we're going to get 6. Why? Because holes is a node list that contains all 6 of our holes. Okay, good. So we need to find a random index between 0 and 5, which is going to give us that one. So it's a const idx math.floor math.random times holes.length. Const hole is equal to holes idx. Why? Because that's going to be like holes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up till 5. So idx. And then let's just console log the hole itself. So now if we run that function by passing it our holes, it gives us 5. Oh, 5 again. That's going to be a problem for us. 1, 1. Oh, 1 again. That's going to be a problem for us. 1 again. What are the chances? I guess 1 in 6. Hole 3, hole 2. You see how it's giving us a random 1. But the problem that we're running into is that sometimes we get the same 1. It's a 1 in 6 chance, so it's going to be pretty common, and you don't want the same mole popping up. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable up here. We're going to say let last hole, and that's just going to create a variable. And then down here, we're going to say at the very bottom, put a line in between that. We'll say last hole is equal to hole. And what this will do is it will save the reference to what one got popped up last time this function was called, so that in here, what we can do is we'll say if hole is equal to last hole, like if it was the same one that popped up last time, we'll just console log, nah, that's the same one, bud. And then we'll simply just run this function, random hole, again, by passing it holes. Now, this function here is just console logging, but that's not really what we want because we can't get the reference to the DOM node if we just console log it. So what we need to do here is return the hole, which is what we have. And then up here, if it was the same one, we'll just return that function itself, which will in turn get called. So we got some recursion going on here, returning the whole. Now, if we rerun that, we should never get the same one twice in a row. So, we got two things going on here. Why do we? Oh, because we're running it and we're console logging it. So this little thing is saying it's returned and we're console logging. So we can take that console log out and run it. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 6, 3. There we go. Never getting the same one. Every now and then we're getting, nah, that's the same one. But why? Because it is. In this case, it was 1, and then I found 1 again. But rather than returning it, it just returned the function, which will call itself again. So if you call that a few more times, you might get a chance where it will run it more than once. Yeah, there we go. See, it ran it once. It had 1, ran it again and got 1, ran it again and got 1, and then ran it again and got 3. So we've got them running there. So we got a random time. We got a random hole. Maybe we should rename this to random time. Keep that consistent, random and random hole. Next, what we need to do is actually get the moles popping up. So we'll go here and we'll make a function called peep, which is they're going to go, boop, they're going to pop up from their holes. And we will get some time, which is a random time. It's going to be between 200 milliseconds and 1 second. And we're going to get a random hole, which should give us random hole and pass it holes. So now we just console log time and hole. See what we got here. Now when I just run peep, we get 450 milliseconds. Hole 5 should pop up. Hole 4 should pop up for 821 milliseconds. Hole 3 should be just under 1 second. So you see how we're getting a random hole and a random amount of time. So what we'll do here is we'll take that hole, we'll add a class to it of up, and that is going to trigger our CSS to be top 0, and that's just going to animate itself in because by default I have put them top 100%, and I put a transition of 0.4 seconds to pop up on it. So there we go. Let's try this here. Hey, there he is. I'll do it again. Hey, and again, and again, and again, and again. And you see that they are all slowly popping up. However, they don't go away. And what we need to do now is after this random amount of time, we need to remove the class of up from this random hole. Set timeout, which is after how many seconds time. And when that happens, we're going to take our hole and we're going to remove the class of up. No, not remove class, just remove. Remove class is jQuery. So here we go. Now I say peep, and then he goes down. Peep again, he goes down. Peep again. Woohoo! Having some fun here. Awesome. Then what we need to do is, unless the game is over, we just need to run it again. When it's done, we'll run peep. So if you were to kick off peep like that, it's just going to run indefinitely because there's no way to actually stop that. So what we'll do here is we'll go up to our top and we'll create a variable called time up. We'll set that to false. And we'll go down here and we'll say, if the time is not up, then we will run peep. So if there is the variable time up is ever set to true, then it will stop. So here we go. We'll run peep. It's going to run forever, but then we can take this time up variable. It's set to false. We can set it to true, and it never starts again because peep will call itself, and then it will call itself for the last time because this will not run. Okay, that makes sense so far. Then what we need to do is make a function called start game. So we'll say function start game. And first thing we need to do is just reset the scoreboard here, just in case we're playing again. So we'll say scoreboard.text content is equal to 0. Then we'll say time up is equal to false. Again, we set that on page load, I know, but if you were to run start game again, like you want to play twice, then you could do that. Then we want to kick off peep there. which will run it. So let's see here. Start game. So they're running like crazy. But what we also want to do is after 10 seconds, we want to set that variable that we time up. We want to set it to true. So set timeout. After that happens, we'll say time up is equal to true. And that will run after 10 seconds, 10,000 milliseconds. Or let's do it after 2 seconds now, just so we can see if it works. So we'll run it. 2 seconds has elapsed. It no longer is running. Good. So we'll set that back to 10 seconds. So we got our start game, we got our peep, and we can make a button now that when clicked, we can maybe put a button right here that says on click is equal to start game. Start. Now when you click it, it will start playing the game for you. Woohoo! Last piece that we need is when you click on a mole, we need to bonk them on the head. So we are going to make a function called bonk. It's going to take in the event. And let's just console log the event. Then we'll take all of our moles and we will listen for a click on each of the moles. And we'll run bonk. Bonk. Okay, good. So now we have to get a little bit crafty with our clicking. So start it. Click. I got the first one. All right, let's take a look at this. Mouse event. All kinds of information in here. First thing I want you to do is you might say like, oh, Wes, but I can fake a click with JavaScript. Couldn't I just like do that and win the entire game? Well, on all of your events, you have this thing called is trusted, and it will say true. If you fake clicking something with JavaScript, that's going to be false because you can simulate a click, which is handy in some cases, but we need to be true that this actually came from the user's mouse input. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say if bang e.is trusted return, and that will say cheater. So someone's trying to fake the click without their mouse. Okay, good. Then what we want to do here is when someone clicks something, we got to give them some sort of score. So let's go up to the top here and we'll say let score is equal to 0. And when we start the game, we'll set score to 0 as well, just so that if we restart it, we can do that. And then we'll go down here and we'll simply say score plus plus. And we will move that little guy down. So this.classList.remove up, because if you smack them, they should remove down, even if they have like a second or so left on the clock. And then we take our scoreboard, which have we selected that? Yes, we have. Document.query selector, and we'll set the text content to be the same. I got 8, and you click start. It will run again, and you can keep playing with all of your values there. So that is our Whack-A-Mole game. There's a lot more you could do. First of all, what would be really cool is if you had like an all-time scoreboard and you were to save that in local storage. So if someone were to come back, then you could reload the high scores and you save them in local storage. It would also be cool if you had like levels. Like this is like, I don't know, pretty clickable. But if you were to say like expert level, and then you were to change this random time to like between 50 milliseconds and 300 milliseconds, and then it would be like super hard, like whoa, 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 whoa. Like some people would be really good at that. Not me, but oh, I got one. Sweet. So you could do expert mode, and you can just create all kinds of different controls up here along with the dashboard. And I would just love to see where you take this one. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I won't see you tomorrow because that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll have a little bit of an outro video for you as well. Thanks a lot.